I have to start with a confession. It isn't coffee itself that may be harming your health. It's what you do with it. Yes, you heard that right. For years we've been told the problem was caffeine, that coffee was bad for your stomach, your heart, or your nerves. And although some of that might be true in certain contexts, what I've actually discovered over time is something subtler and more dangerous. There's a habit many of us repeat every day without thinking. An automatic gesture, as common as breathing in the morning. And yet that habit is quietly affecting your digestion, your energy, your blood pressure. And over the years, it can come back to haunt you. Today I'm going to tell you what that habit is. I'll explain how and why it's harming millions of older adults, even when they think they're doing something good. But I'll also give you clear, simple solutions so you can keep enjoying your daily cup of coffee without sacrificing your well-being. Because it's not about giving up coffee. Coffee is not the enemy. In fact, it can be a wonderful ally if we drink it mindfully. But like everything in life, how you do it matters as much as what you do. So if you're one of those people who say, "I don't function without my coffee," if that first sip in the morning is almost sacred to you, stay with me for a few minutes. What you discover today might change that ritual forever, for the better. And before we go on, I'd love to learn a bit about you. How old are you? And where are you listening from? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to read your answers and know who's on the other side of this conversation. For decades, coffee has been accused of causing nervousness, insomnia, stomach problems, even heart issues. But the latest science has shown us another side of this millennia-old beverage. A side that, if understood correctly, can become a true ally for our health. Coffee is packed with antioxidants. These substances help fight cellular damage, reduce inflammation, and protect us against diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, or even certain kinds of cancer. It's also been shown to improve insulin sensitivity and lower the risk of type 2 diabetes. And of course, we can't ignore its immediate impact, that boost in concentration, alertness, and mood. For many people, a morning cup of coffee is not just a pleasure. It's a tool that allows them to start the day with energy, clarity, and motivation. But coffee is not just chemistry. It's culture. It's history. It's memory. Think for a moment. How many important conversations, moments of rest, or deep reflections have happened with a cup of coffee in hand? In many countries, sharing a coffee is a way of connecting. In others, it's an almost sacred ceremony, an act that invites pause, contemplation, and the mindful enjoyment of the present moment. Our grandparents drank it with freshly baked bread at a leisurely table. Our parents shared it with guests, between laughter and advice. And we continue that same ritual, adapted to our times. So if coffee has so many benefits, if it's accompanied so many generations as a gesture of warmth, pause, and connection, where's the problem? The answer, as often in life, isn't in what we drink, but in what we do with it. The danger isn't in the coffee, but in the silent habit that accompanies it and that thousands of people repeat every day without knowing it's stealing their health, energy, and well-being. And that is what we're going to uncover in the next part. Now then, it's time to talk about the real problem. And no, it's not coffee. It's something we do almost without thinking, a routine for millions, and that over time begins to cause damage. The silent habit ruining your health is drinking coffee on an empty stomach, especially first thing in the morning, right after waking up. It sounds harmless, even natural. Many people say, "I can't eat when I wake up. I just have a coffee and go." Practical, every day. But actually a silent bomb for your body. When you wake, your stomach has been at rest for hours. It's empty, unprotected, with nothing to cushion what arrives. And in that very moment, we throw in a hot, acidic, stimulating drink that provokes an immediate reaction in the body. The first thing that happens is strong irritation of the gastric mucosa. Coffee on an empty stomach stimulates the production of hydrochloric acid, the very acid we use to digest food. But with no food present, that acid begins to attack the stomach lining itself. Over time, this can lead to gastritis, reflux, burning, heaviness, even ulcers. In addition, coffee triggers cortisol production, the stress hormone. And if you're already feeling stressed in the morning, as many are, that cortisol spike can throw your nervous system off balance, causing anxiety, palpitations, even concentration problems throughout the day. Ironically, what you sought, energy and clarity, turns into more tension and fatigue. It also affects the pancreas. When you drink coffee alone, your body interprets that something is coming and starts preparing. But with no real nutrients, this can disrupt insulin production, impact blood sugar levels, and, in the long run, contribute to metabolic imbalances. Let me tell you about Esther, a 73-year-old woman, active, sharp, generally healthy. Her only sin, as she called it, was drinking her black coffee on an empty stomach. She'd done it since she was young, without much thought. But over the years, she began to feel unexplained stomach discomfort, a kind of burning. She was diagnosed with chronic gastritis. She tried medications and bland diets but didn't improve. It wasn't until her granddaughter, a nutrition student, asked, "Grandma, when do you drink your coffee?" that they realized the obvious. Esther changed her routine. She began eating something before her cup, even if it was a slice of toast or a handful of nuts. In less than a month, the burning vanished. Esther didn't give up coffee. She only changed how she took it. That is the key. Perhaps, as you hear me talk about coffee on an empty stomach, you're thinking something very common. But I've done this my whole life and never had a problem. Why now? That is an excellent question, one that deserves a clear, honest answer, respectful of your personal history. The first thing to understand is that our bodies change with age. They don't age all at once. It's a slow, silent process, and many of those transformations go unnoticed, until one day something we once tolerated easily starts to catch up with us. One of the first things to change with age is the gastric mucosa, the layer protecting the stomach from its own acid. In youth, it's thick, strong, and resilient, but over time it becomes thinner, more fragile, more sensitive. So what used to be a simple cup of coffee can now feel like an assault. Another important change occurs in our hormonal system. How we handle stress at 20 isn't the same as at 60 or 80. Our cortisol levels tend to be more erratic as we age. We sleep differently, wake more restless, and our nervous system becomes more reactive. And if you drink coffee on an empty stomach at that vulnerable moment, your body goes into a kind of alert that can leave you with heart palpitations, anxiety, or unexpected fatigue. There's more. The pancreas and the digestive system in general also age. They no longer process glucose or caffeine with the same efficiency. That which once seemed to give us energy can now have the opposite effect, depleting our reserves, irritating our organs, leaving us unwell instead of invigorated. To illustrate, imagine an old car, one that's been with you for many years. At first it started without issue. You could fire it up and speed off worry-free, but over time you need to let it warm up for a few minutes. You care for it more. You check the oil, not because it's broken, but because it's no longer new, and it deserves attention. Your body is the same. It's not failing, it just needs different timing and a bit more care. And that isn't weakness, it's wisdom. There's a saying, to age is to learn to listen to oneself. And it's true. What we once tolerated effortlessly now calls for a pause, something to eat before coffee, a small act of kindness toward our stomach. And that's okay. It's part of the process. We don't have to live as if we're 30 because we're not 30 anymore. But that doesn't mean we can't keep enjoying the things we love. We only need to do so mindfully. In the next part, I'll tell you exactly what you can do to keep enjoying coffee without harming your health. I'll give you practical, simple options that respect your body. So, if coffee on an empty stomach can harm us, does that mean we must give it up forever? The answer is no. It's not about eliminating coffee. It's about fitting it better into your routine, giving it the proper context. Because the truth is that coffee itself isn't the problem. It's when you drink it and what you do just before it touches your lips. Here are some simple but powerful changes you can start tomorrow. First, eat something before your coffee. It doesn't have to be a big meal or anything elaborate. Just a light food to protect your stomach and gently kickstart your metabolism. It can be a piece of fruit, like a banana or an apple. It can be a small portion of cooked oatmeal, even a slice of whole grain bread with a bit of olive oil or avocado. The key is to have something in your system before introducing coffee. That cushions its impact, cares for your gastric lining, and prevents excess acid production. Second, don't drink coffee immediately upon opening your eyes. Although many feel they need it as soon as they wake, it's better to wait 20 to 30 minutes before your first cup. Why? Because upon waking, your body naturally produces cortisol, the hormone that activates you. If you add caffeine right then, you're not helping your energy, you're forcing it, and over the years, that takes its toll. Third, hydrate first. A glass of warm water on waking can be a real gift to your body. It rehydrates your organs, gently activates your digestive system, and helps flush out toxins. And best of all, it prepares your stomach to receive foods or more intense beverages, like coffee, more comfortably. So what would an ideal morning look like for those of us over 50 or 60? Wake up calmly. Don't jump out of bed. Give yourself a minute to stretch, breathe deeply, and feel your body. Drink that glass of warm water, perhaps with a few drops of lemon if that suits you. Then have a light but nourishing breakfast, something that gives energy without heaviness. Oatmeal with fruit, yogurt with seeds, a toast with avocado, and only then, coffee. But not as an impulse, not as a desperate need, rather as a ritual. A moment of pause, of presence, maybe by a window, perhaps listening to your favorite music, or simply in silence. Because coffee tastes better when it doesn't harm your body. That first sip, after you've cared for your stomach, hydrated and breathed, becomes much more enjoyable. It not only wakes you up, it accompanies you, and that changes your entire morning. Until now, we've talked about black coffee alone, but there's something we can't ignore. Coffee, when combined with certain habits or substances, can multiply its negative effects. And this is something many people don't realize. Let's discuss 3 dangerous combinations that, if left uncorrected, may be undermining your health every single day. First, coffee and medication, especially those we take in the morning, medications for blood pressure, digestive aids, or treatments for chronic conditions. Coffee, being such a potent stimulant, can interfere with the absorption of certain drugs, preventing them from working as intended. It can also amplify unwanted side effects. For example, if you're on a heart medication or on antacids to reduce stomach acid, coffee can act as a silent saboteur. Moreover, some medications already increase heart rate or cause nervousness. Add a cup of coffee to the mix, and the results can be unpredictable. Palpitations, tremors, general discomfort. It's not the drug that's at fault, nor is it the coffee. It's the timing and the combination. If you take medication in the morning, check with your doctor about when it's safe to drink coffee. In many cases, simply waiting at least 1 hour after your pill can make a world of difference. A small adjustment in schedule can mean a big change in how you feel. Second dangerous combination, coffee and cigarettes. You may have quit smoking years ago, or perhaps you still light one up after breakfast. Either way, you should know this. For decades, the pairing of coffee and tobacco has been deadly to both the digestive and cardiovascular systems. Both irritate the gastric lining, increase acidity, raise blood pressure, and speed up the heart. If you ran that habit for a long time, your body has already paid the price, and continuing to overindulge in coffee, especially on an empty stomach, can keep punishing those same organs. Even if you no longer smoke, residual damage remains. That's why it's so important to protect your stomach, your esophagus, and your heart from ongoing inflammation or wear caused by coffee. Third, and perhaps most common, dangerous combination, coffee and stress. Think about this. You wake up, haven't eaten, and feel the pressure of the day ahead. Maybe you have to rush out, answer a call, Tackle an urgent task. What do? You grab a cup of coffee to get going. But what happens inside your body is a different story. Upon waking, your body naturally produces a hormone called cortisol, which helps you feel alert and awake. If you layer coffee on top of that, your stimulation levels skyrocket. And if you're already under pressure or worried, the result can be anxiety, palpitations, sweating, and later on, nervous exhaustion. In other words, you start the day stressed, add fuel with coffee, and in a few hours you're completely drained. It's no coincidence that so many people say they feel wiped out by midday, despite having consumed 2 or 3 cups of coffee. Your body isn't a machine, and coffee plus anxiety plus fasting is a perfect storm for physical and mental fatigue. What can you do? Change the order. Breathe before you begin the day. Eat something light. Delay your first cup of coffee by at least 30 minutes. And if you can, enjoy it in a calm setting. Not to push yourself, but to accompany yourself. Because coffee can be either an ally or an enemy. It all depends on the timing, the context, and what you're mixing it with. Have you ever paired coffee with a cigarette? Or taken it along with your morning medications? Have you noticed changes as you've aged? I'd love to read about your experience. Perhaps as you listen, you're thinking, what if I already have heartburn? What if I already suffer from gastritis or anxiety? What should I do now? First, breathe. You're not alone, and it's not all lost. The good news is that damage isn't always permanent. Many of the symptoms you experience today can be greatly relieved with small but consistent changes. The first step is to adjust how you drink coffee. It's not about giving it up entirely, but about softening its impact on your body. Acidity bothering you? Try low-acid coffee. There are varieties grown and processed specifically to avoid that burning sensation. Look for slow-roasted organic blends or special mixes for sensitive stomachs. Dilute the strength. Use less coffee per cup or add a bit of plant-based milk. Oat, almond or rice milk can help buffer the acidity without harming your digestion. And if gastritis is already part of your life, coffee can still remain in moderation, as an occasional guest. A couple of times a week, always after eating something, never on an empty stomach. And if you feel discomfort that day, skip it. Your body is already telling you what it needs. For many, coffee became an everyday companion, even when the body needed something else. In those cases, natural alternatives can help a lot. Barley coffee, caffeine-free, but with the aroma and body reminiscent of traditional coffee. Warm, comforting, and gentle on the stomach. Gentle, stimulating infusions. Rosemary boosts circulation, clears the mind, and aids digestion. Mint soothes the stomach and relieves tension. Cinnamon energizes the body without irritation and adds natural sweetness. These options aren't meant to replace coffee entirely, but to offer other ways to care for your energy without internal strain. If you still doubt their effectiveness, let me tell you about Mr. Ernest. He's 73 years old. For years he suffered morning acidity, but couldn't give up coffee. He said, "It's the only thing that wakes me up." His daughter, a naturopath, helped him change his routine. First, he began drinking a glass of warm water on waking. Then he ate something light, fruit or whole grain bread. And only then did he have his cup of coffee, a milder one with plant-based milk. Nothing more, no new medications, no expensive treatments. By the 3rd week, his acidity had decreased by half, and for the first time in ages, he felt energized without nerves or heaviness. Today, he still enjoys his coffee, but with greater awareness. As he says, "Coffee doesn't control me. I decide when and how to enjoy it." You can make that change too. Now let's address some of the most common questions I get about coffee. Because around this brew there are many doubts and many myths. Is it bad to have more than 1 cup of coffee a day? The short answer is, it depends. For many people, 1 or 2 cups a day aren't just safe, they can even be beneficial. The issue isn't the exact amount, but how your body reacts. Some feel jittery after half a cup, Others can have 2 or 3 and feel fine. The key is to listen to your body. If you experience palpitations, anxiety, poor sleep, or stomach irritation, even 1 cup may be too much. And if you feel good, there's no need to worry about a second. Can I drink coffee after lunch? Yes, and for many it's the best time of day. After eating, your stomach has a protective base. Plus, coffee after lunch can aid digestion, provided it's not too strong. Just be mindful. If it's too late, and then you struggle to sleep, you might want to move it earlier. Remember, coffee can stay in your system for 6 to 8 hours.
Is decaffeinated coffee better?
Here, you need to differentiate. Decaffeinated coffee can be a great option for those sensitive to caffeine. But not all decafs are equal. Some use chemical processes that leave unwanted residues. The best are naturally decaffeinated, using water or carbon dioxide methods. Even so, they aren't completely caffeine-free, so very sensitive people may still feel an effect. Does coffee cause osteoporosis? That myth has been around for years. While some older studies suggested it, we now know that coffee alone doesn't cause bone loss. What can happen is a slight increase in calcium loss if you consume it excessively without enough calcium in your diet. But if you eat a calcium-rich diet and drink coffee in moderation, there's no need to worry. In short, coffee isn't the culprit. Balance in your overall diet is what matters. Is instant coffee the same as ground coffee? No. Whole bean coffee, especially freshly ground, retains more antioxidants and natural properties. Instant coffee undergoes a more industrial process, losing some of those qualities. Many instant mixes also include additives, stabilizers, or hidden sugars. Does that mean you can't drink it? Not necessarily, but if you have the choice, freshly ground coffee brewed at home is always the more natural, healthier option. And now that we've reached the end, there's something very important I want you to remember. It's not about giving up coffee. It's about drinking it with respect, awareness, and care. Because coffee isn't the enemy. What can harm you isn't the beverage itself, but when you drink it, how you drink it, and what you do before and after. For years, many of us repeated the same habit unconsciously, rushing to brew coffee, drinking it on an empty stomach, and running off into the day. And of course, then came the discomfort, the nerves, the acidity, the fatigue. We wonder, why does this happen if I've always done it this way? The truth is, as the years pass, your body changes. What you once tolerated easily now requires more attention. Not because you're weak, but because your body is asking for care. And that care begins with the smallest details. Sometimes life's pleasures can become our enemies, but with the right knowledge, they can become our allies again. Coffee can still be that special moment each morning, the ritual that reconnects you with yourself, energizes you, and keeps you company in silence or conversation. But give your body what it needs before what it craves. Drink water, eat something, wait a moment. And when the time for coffee comes, let it be a gift, not a burden. Don't live on autopilot. Your health is built through small gestures, repeated with love. So tell me, how do you take your coffee each morning? On an empty stomach? With bread, fruit, or milk? Do you savor it slowly, or gulp it down in haste? Share in the comments. I'd love to read your stories. And if this information helped or made you reflect, don't forget to share it with someone who also loves coffee, but loves their well-being even more. Thank you for being here. See you in the next video.